Welcome to the Wild Remedies podcast. I'm your host, Krysta, and I'm here to bring you captivating stories from some of the most fascinating people I've connected with on my own journey of physical, mental, and spiritual well-being. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired.
What is happening, fam? Welcome to another episode of the Wild Remedies podcast. What are we at now? I think this is like episode 44 or something. I'm really terrible with like numbers and time and all of those things. But anyway, this thing's coming along. Thank you so much for listening. If you are listening right now, this podcast has been such an incredible journey. We've had so many fucking amazing people on the show so far, and it's all due to your support. So thank you so much. I really love this, community that's being built and the people that, I already know that have come on that I get to share with you, or even the new people that we're connecting with. Today's guest is Devon Loftus. She is new to me and maybe to you as well, but I just fucking absolutely love her. She's so sweet. We could have just kept talking forever. And today we're going to talk about Devon's healing journey, how she naturally healed her ovarian cysts. We get into talking about somatic work a little bit, her experience and how that's really supported her. Some of the diet shifts that she made for hormone health and the really, really cool products that she makes. So she has a company called Moon Cycle Bakery where you can purchase these like pre-made goodie ingredients that you can make at home to support your menstrual cycle. I mean, it's really for anybody. Anybody can eat the goodies, but they're all like gluten-free, super healthy, and really supportive for your cycle. She also has a cookbook, a couple of them, or no, I'm not sure if the other one is a cookbook, but the first one, the Moon Cycle Cookbook, kind of ties in all of this stuff with her physical products, plus a bunch of other really amazing bonuses. And we're going to get a little bit of insight into her process in creating the book, which I'm really fascinated by because I've been kind of thinking about maybe creating a book at some point too. Actually, if you guys have any thoughts about that, connect with me on Instagram and let me know, because I would love to hear some things that you might be interested in seeing in a cookbook. I want to do one that's about foraging and creating really like gourmet, delicious things in the kitchen from wild foraged things. I already have a list of stuff that I've been making myself. I'm starting to share more on Instagram. If you're not following me yet, the handle is Magick Maven, Magick .maven. So connect with me there and let me know. And yeah, we're actually going to have Devon back on the show because we didn't get to the part at the end to talk about the fact that she's a death doula, which is something that I am super fascinated with and something that I was really interested in for a while. But anyway, enough of me rambling. You guys are going to absolutely love Devon. So let's jump into this episode and meet her. Hi, guys. Just a quick PSA to let you know that our Magick elixirs have gone down in price and we're keeping it that way. Same amazing quality with real plant extracts and nutraceuticals like the ceramicides in our Glow Potion that legit plump your skin. And speaking of quality, this is something that is really important to me. And that's why all of our products are crafted with medicinal grade extracts. Unfortunately, a lot of herbal blend brands out there are simply using ground plants that are not extracts. This means that you get very little benefit if you're just blending them up in a milk or a smoothie or throwing them in your morning coffee. Herbal plant medicine needs to be extracted in order to be effective, kind of like tea, which is an infusion, for example. So you need to steep the botanicals in hot water over time to extract the volatile oils that then become bioavailable to your body. So how do you know if a company is using an extract or not? It's pretty simple. They generally clearly state it. It'll be listed as a ratio on the packaging. Like, for example, the 3-to-1 chaga extract in our spiced chocolate potion. We also have a 20-to-1 passion flower extract in our relaxation potion. So very, very easy to distinguish. And actually, speaking of chaga mushroom, make sure that you're getting wild sourced and not cultivated. Otherwise, you're missing out on like the majority of the good stuff, which comes from the birch trees that they're meant to grow on. We use wild Siberian chaga mushroom and it is the best. So extracts are more expensive, yeah, but it's a lot better to invest in something that works than throwing your money away on something that doesn't, right? Rant over. I'm just seeing this so much in the industry right now, and we need to call it out so we can do better as medicine makers, and so we're able to make better decisions as consumers. So if you feel called, check out our collection of high vibe elixirs that support your immunity, skin health, and stress levels at wildremedieshop.com. Welcome, Devon, to the Wild Remedies podcast. I have been so looking forward to this conversation. How are you today?
I'm great, Krysta. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah. Oh, man. I just love your brand, all the things that you're creating. I'm a creator as well. So I'm just so excited to dig into that and learn more about it, selfishly learn about your process a little bit as well. And
process is one of my favorite things to talk about. I think more people should talk about process, actually.
Totally. Yeah. So people can know what they're getting into if they decide to do something like that, because it's a lot.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, I mean, first, before we get into all of that, I always find that people that get into wellness usually do it because of a healing journey that they've had to go through themselves. Is that the case with you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Why don't we talk about that a little bit first? Why don't you tell me about your healing journey so far?
Yeah. So I feel like when it comes to my healing journey, it started off as like a very obvious emotional healing journey. I fell into a deep depression freshman year of college. Was battling with suicidal ideations, and that led to talk therapy at that point, and really coming to terms with childhood trauma, hurt story patterns, and understanding how to have my own back, really, like not need the outside validation to define my worth. So that's kind of catapulted me into the wellness world. I was on the East Coast at that point, but right after college, I moved to California, and there was a lot more resources and access to not only emotional and spiritual health, but physical. And then I actually started to experience more of the physical. I was starting to have ovarian cysts that would rupture. And so I was in the hospital twice for them. And the second time, I really had to advocate for myself in the hospital. I had a doctor who I went in knowing it was a cyst, and he didn't want to give me an ultrasound at first because he just didn't believe that that's what it was. And when I basically was like, no, I know.
That's fun.
When I was like, you're giving me an ultrasound, he was like, yes, you're right, it is one. And it's actually like in your pelvis. So I'm going to send you to this doctor, whatever. And then I went and saw this amazing doctor, and she was like, look, the way to help with ovarian cysts is usually birth control. And I was like, well, I was on it. It really didn't work for me. And she was like, I get it. You're swapping one set of symptoms for another. So my advice is to get really close to your body, understand it. You now know what these cysts feel like. They usually get even when they rupture, they usually are like then taken out with your period, and you kind of like your body resets. That was my experience. She was like, you know this about yourself, so just be aware. And if the pain stays, then like, to come in. And that really is what opened me to, Moon Cycle Bakery and my cycle, and really that like link between the emotional and the physical, which was I have been working on feeling empowered and trusting myself to be able to not only like know who I am, but advocate for those needs. Mm-hmm. And then this physical element was coming in that was really pushing me to do that. And I think that's kind of where, both books I wrote, the Cookbook, the Moon Cycle Cookbook, and then the second book I just wrote on like learning how to meet and process those emotions really meets. It's like that physical meets that emotional.
I love that. And did you have success healing the ovarian cysts, or is it something that you still have to manage?
No, no, that was the last one I had actually.
Cool.
Yeah, I started, getting deeper into my diet, understanding what could be causing them. And also for me, uh, a lot of the things I've experienced, I've also had like kidney stones and whatnot, are stress, like they make me very aware of how dysregulated I am and how my body is like holding on. It's pushing through it. I'm not giving it the space it needs to talk. So that's been like the second layer basically of healing now.
Mm-hmm. And so like that's kind of what you identified the root cause to be, was like more stress.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it was a combination of like certain dietary things that needed to shift. And then yeah, like whenever I look back at when I got the cysts or when I've gotten the kidney stones, it's in these really heightened states of emotional stress. And it's interesting because I just started somatic therapy, and that I started that in the winter. And she does this thing where it's like talk therapy meets like physical um emotional work. And she does this kind of body work where she'll put her hands on certain parts of my body to help them regulate. And one of the first places is your kidneys, because the adrenal glands sit right, I think like right on top of them. And I was like, I get kidney stones. And she was like, it's not like uncommon for people who hold certain emotion. Like it's your system. That's where it goes. It's like there's certain parts of your nervous system that holds emotions when it gets dysregulated. And that's one space of it. So yeah, I do think it's always, again, that it's like there's physical aspects and then there's these emotional aspects that I'm trying to always kind of be on top of, or at the very least be aware of.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so important. That's really what we are coming to understand now, right? Is a lot of our physical symptoms come from emotional
Yeah.
traumas, pushing through things, grinding. A
Yeah.
lot of the things that we kind of value and glorify in our society right now are really the things that are killing us in a lot of senses. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think about that often, actually, even with just like, Bo Burnham, the comedian, he came out with like a Netflix special, um, over the pandemic, and it's all about, it's like basically about his mental, he's like, he's very funny, but he makes songs and stuff. And it's like, it's about a million things, but a lot of it's about his mental health. And he just put something, I just shared it on my stories, and I've gotten so many people responding to be like, where'd you get this? Can you send me the link? Because it's all about how it's all about performance, and like how we're in this, how like this social media and Instagram and everything came to be because we are this society that we're like, someone was like, okay, perform. And we're like, okay. And how it's slowly killing us, and how like, he's like, if you don't have an audience to perform to, like, don't change that. Like, just be you, don't perform. And I was like, it's so powerful. And I think it goes along with that hustle culture of like, sometimes I wonder, I'm like, what if I just got off all social media? Like, what if I just disappeared in that sense? Like, would my body react differently? I'm sure it would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, depending on what your relationship to it is, right? Like, does it feel expansive or does it feel restrictive?
That's a good point.
For a lot of people, though, it's tough, right? Like, there's elements of addiction, there's elements of, comparing, there's all of these things that generally are on the lower octave.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes the creating can feel great. Like, I actually genuinely enjoy like sharing stuff. I don't love the algorithmic bullshit though.
Yeah,
that says,
totally.
Oh, you need to post fucking 3 times a day or nobody's gonna see your shit. And like, when it's a business and like you need to be, getting information out. And a thing that's really frustrating is that social media has become one of like a very small subset of ways to
Yeah.
advertise now, right? Like
Yeah.
we used to advertise in such different ways. And now it's like, this feels like it's almost the only thing. I'm actually interested in like trying different things now. Like, what about print? Like, does that even work?
Yeah,
anymore?
right.
Even I don't even know. Like, I don't get junk mail and all this. It's like I don't even know if that would work. But yeah, it
That's
does.
such a good point, though.
It does feel like an abusive relationship, though, in a sense, for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Exactly. Because to your point, it's like your hands being forced one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
The whole point we're on there is to be creative and share in that creativity and that fluidity that comes with that. But then you can't because there's an algorithm and you need to be, it's like that. You're making me realize it's like that need to be seen. Like you have to be literally seen. You're like, your content has to be seen in order for your business to thrive is how it starts to feel.
Yeah.
And then you're fighting to be seen. And that is definitely sounds like an abusive relationship. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just what that does on the body.
Yep. Totally.
This is just, the really minor thoughts that I think about on it.
It's a huge thing, right? Like it inundates all of us now. And like a thing that I think about quite often that just makes me sick is the fact that like children are growing up in this paradigm. And
so true.
Oh man, like high school and just, social paradigms were already hard enough when we didn't have that shit. Like, can you imagine? And the performance, right? Like their entire identity would be around being performative, which is just wild and so stressful for those kids.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, it's terrifying. You're right. That is the word. It's sickening and terrifying. I think about it with my son's 3.5, but I do think like I'm going to blank and he's going to be in middle school and like what social pressures is he going to be under to have not only a phone, but to your point, like social media, what to do with it, how to show up. Yeah. I don't know. It's just more of those unanswered questions of being a parent in the world that we're creating, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, the good news is that a lot of this stuff is kind of being illuminated, and there are people and parents who are conscious of this now and making different choices. I mean, on kind of like the one spectrum, people are just pulling their kids out of school completely and homeschooling, right? And that's not an option for a lot of people. But I mean, at the bare minimum, if there can be awareness around it, and if more parents are putting limits and things, because I think that's kind of the hard part is when kids are around peers that don't really have a lot of limits and they want to do what they're doing, right?
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, so it's like, well, I just want to do what Johnny's doing, right?
Yeah, and so like the not understanding why I shouldn't, right? Like as a kid, you're like, well, I just don't get why, but you're right. Like if there's that awareness and education, then there's actually a conversation then.
Yeah, for sure. Just going back to some of the symptoms that you were having prior, you mentioned diet was a big thing for you in healing. What kind of changes did you make that help support that? Yeah.
So for me personally, it was really cutting out like, so around the time of the cysts and I had kidney stones is when I started working with one of my friends now, but she's a toxicologist and nutritionist. And I cut out, and then I just cut down like the amount of meat I was eating, and gluten, sugar, and dairy at that time. And it helped. I mean, it really helped, but it was one of those things where I'm not a prescriptive person. Like even with the book and everything that Moon Cycle is about, we cannot say enough, like this is not dogmatic and this is not prescriptive because it's different for every single person. Not to mention it's different as you grow and heal, right? Like, so I love meat. Like I feel better when I eat meat. That's just who I am. There are some people who don't, and that works too. But for me, I need my protein to feel like a functioning human.
Yep.
I just have to be mindful of this, like where I'm getting it from, how much of it I'm eating. It kind of got into that more nuanced way of looking at things instead of like so black and white for me. And that was new. I think sometimes for me, it's easier to go to the black and white because it just requires less thinking and like energy, but it wasn't sustainable. So I think that's why I love the cookbook so much, is because it's a good balance. If we really worked so hard to make sure that nothing was all or nothing. You know, every recipe can be, you can make it vegan, you can add meat, you can use like, you know, just granulated sugar, you could use maple syrup, you know, it is so accommodating to different lifestyles, but also, yeah, again, that where you are in your journey, because it's just it's going to fluctuate. I think we're kind of sold a lie that once you get into your healing path, like it'll be that way forever, but that's just not my experience, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does change a lot. And I love that you have the philosophy of things changing and the lack of dogma, because we still see a lot of dogma in the wellness industry, unfortunately. And I know what it's like when I first started my healing journey. You know, I did like this vegan thing for about a month and started feeling better, right? So I was like, oh my God, well, this is obvious. Like, meat is obviously evil then, right? But really, like, I went from eating fucking McDonald's and like just absolute trash food to eating like whole food for the first time in my life. So like, no wonder I felt better. But there was a lot of, you know, those documentaries and stuff at that time that were like very, you know, vegan focused. But I, you know, ended up being vegetarian for about 4 years. And I was very dogmatic, right? Like, I was just like, you're shitty person because of climate change and blah, 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 blah. And like, so when I see that still happening, right, like I kind of laugh because I feel like it's a season that people go through.
Totally.
And, you know, it's unfortunate that it also comes with a bit of righteousness and a megaphone, which is really annoying now. But I think eventually people start to learn those lessons, usually in the hard way. And, you know, I also find it interesting that like, I don't remember what the exact percentage is, but it's like upwards of 90% of all people that, you know, go vegan end up having to switch back because like their hair starts falling out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Like their body starts talking.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, we kind of just need to be like, if you're doing a diet that requires you to take a plethora of supplements so you don't fucking die, like it's probably not the most healthy thing, right? Like we need to really be focusing more on balance. But it's tough. Like if you do have chronic illness, you know, more extreme diets, something like ketogenic or whatever, can be very helpful. But again, none of that is really great long term, right?
Right.
So we do, you know, the diet can help, can be supportive in some ways, but we need to be looking at all kinds of stuff. Like, so when you mentioned somatics, for example, such a beautiful thing, right? Like we probably have all of these knots that are, you know, inside of us energetically that need to be unwound to be able to release, you know, all kinds of things that get tied up inside of us that help to create those symptoms.
Yeah. And I think like going back to your point on, you know, the kind of self-righteousness or just judgment, kind of grouping people into a certain thing if what they're doing is different than what you're doing. I think that also comes, again, it's like connected to that emotional place when we're in the healing of like usually if I'm judging someone, I know I'm like, I'm in pain because if I was feeling good and strong in my body or in my mental emotional self, like I wouldn't be judging them. That's just not what people who are feeling good about themselves do. And so usually for me, it's an indicator. Like my friend says it too. My friend's big into somatics and she's a therapist, and I love talking to her because I will say things and she'll be like, what I hear is you're in the middle of healing. And I'm like, that's a good way of putting it. It's messy there. Like, yeah, like you said, it's a season. It's like, and we don't know what that season's going to look like when we're in it, or even after. That's why we look back with hindsight and we're like, oh yeah, I can see how, like, I can see that I was doing good things, but I wasn't quite through it yet. So like I was eating whole foods and that was really good, but like it was okay. I could have eaten meat, or like, it's not a big deal if other people do. It's just interesting because it's like this really, as society, I think we find it challenging to live in that in between. You know, it's either all or nothing, or yeah, it's just hard to live in those gray areas, health
Which
or
is,
otherwise.
yeah, but that's like, it's so frustrating, right? Because that's really where we need to get to.
It's life. That's the truth
Yeah.
of life, right? Like
Yeah.
that's life happening at all times. It's so nuanced.
Yeah. Everybody just wants a definitive answer, right? And so living in the gray or living in the mystery or being in that in between from like where you are now and where you want to get to
Mm-hmm.
can be difficult, but that's
Yeah.
how it is, right? And
Yeah.
this is something that, you know, we talk about on the podcast all the time, like what the actual healing process looks like, right? Because so many people just they want the quick fix pill,
Mm-hmm.
pharmaceuticals. But you know, we talk about why that is, you know, probably doing more harm than good, and just having to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? And being in that
Yeah,
grit,
exactly.
getting through
Yep.
that process. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, right. Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. That's exactly it.
Yeah. That's what real healing looks like. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's not
It's not glamorous.
coddling. No, it's not glamorous. It's not coddling. It's,
Yeah.
you know, taking responsibility for yourself, for your shit, being an adult, not outsourcing your power, and just fucking becoming a more epic person for going through the shit.
Yeah, I love that. Not outsourcing your power. That's going to stick with me. I wonder why, like, it's curious to me, like, why we outsource our power. Why do you think that is?
Well, I don't know. I think there's a lot of different reasons. It's easier, right? Like human
Yeah.
beings are just we're hardwired to make everything easier, to have more comfort, right? Like that's why we have this world that we build around ourselves with all of the walls that we encase ourselves with that are, you know, perfectly temperature controlled, you know, drop of a hat or, you know, touch of a phone, we can have anything delivered to, like, we want comfort, we
Yeah.
want ease, we're naturally geared towards that. And, you know, it makes sense. Like, it's nice not to be in the fight or flight response all the
Right.
time because of
Right.
like having a bear chase you, or, you know, having to like fucking forage to have like a roof over your head. Like that shit wasn't cool, right? Like it was a big part of our history and it's tough.
Yeah.
Now, you know, especially in Western society, we have all of those luxuries, but we're always seeking comfort, right? Always seeking
Yeah.
comfort. And a lot of us have just, you know, become really soft in a sense, and we can't tolerate having that headache. We can't tolerate having, you know, those symptoms that are coming up. And a lot of us have just kind of gotten to the point where we've maybe been taught too over the past, you know, 100 years or so that we can't trust ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's a huge one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we've lost a lot of our intuition, right? And I think a lot of that too comes with patriarchal structures, right? Because
Yep.
women, European women, we still see this in indigenous cultures, but I'm just talking from like my own experiences, you know, having European roots.
Yeah.
A lot of that wisdom, right? Like the medicine, like it was the women, right? They were the healers, right?
Yep.
And a lot of that knowledge has been literally burnt at the stake.
Yeah. So true.
We've lost it, right? But I
Yep.
feel like there was a lot of like fierceness and rebellion, and there was just a lot of intuitive wisdom, and we were so in tune with nature and able to heal ourselves with plants and all of this stuff that, I mean, I'm so passionate about reclaiming. It's a huge process and it's difficult, but yeah, we really lost a lot of that. And, you know, women were told that they were crazy, the root cause.
Right. Or what we hear now, too much. Yeah.
Yeah, too much. But also like we've had the power taken away from us incrementally over decades and decades and decades. And now we kind of have these systems that are put in place that know better, right? The
Right.
governments, the school systems, the healthcare systems, where they're up here and we're down here and we're talked down to. And so,
Right.
Adults have really become infantilized in a lot of ways, right? And they want mommy and daddy government to fix it, and they want mommy and daddy doctor to fix it, and all of these things, when what we've lost sight of is that we have so much power ourselves. Yeah.
It's so true. Like, you're just making me realize too, like, no one ever teaches how to advocate. But I get that's
Totally.
the point, right? Like, it's like if the goal is to take away our power, then no one, like, they don't want us to advocate, because that would be reclaiming our intuition. That would put us on an equal playing field, or at least more of an equal playing field. But it's just so interesting to me. Like, I think when I think about moon cycle, I think about the fact that so much of it stems from this place of advocating for yourself, and that does include the education of like learning about your body, so that then you can listen to it, right? So then you can make it individual. You can personalize it, so that you can make personalized choices, which we know are absolutely being taken away. It's just, I'm like, how radical would it be if like there was a advocating for yourself 101 class, in like your schools? Like, I just feel like,
I love that. But
I know
that's exactly where it starts, though, right? Like, the education system is all about, let's make little cogs in our society that don't answer questions or don't ask questions, and just do it.
Sit down. I see it even with my son. Like, I'm really lucky in the class he's in right now. It's not so much the case, but when he was like, I don't know, 1.5, and we'd go to, like those My Gym things where like my son loves, he does not stop moving. So he would go and just run around. In the first 10 minutes, they have circle time. So like, it's just, they're just doing like stretching your arms and singing to a song and stuff. And he was like, no, I'm going to go run on all these, like, there's a whole world here that you've built for me to run and climb on. Like, I'm going to go do that. And so we always would let him, because I was like, well, yeah, I get it. And it's just not him. Like, he's not like every other kid where he's going to be okay sitting in circle time. Like, that's not him. And the people, the teachers would be like, can you help him like sit in circle time? And I'd be like, no,
no,
I'm not. Because I'm not going to treat, like, he doesn't need to be like every other kid, basically. Like, it's just not who he is. Sorry, hold on. My dog wants to come in.
Oh, all good.
Come on. Hi. So it's true. And I think about it a lot with moon cycle, in the sense of like, I think like the next part of what I'd like moon cycle to explore is that part of when you're a kid, like, what are you being educated on? Are you learning about your body? Are you, are you actually getting, are you learning about it, or are you being told about it? Because there's a difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a really important element, or something that would be just so paradigm changing, is just teaching kids about intuition.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It has to start young.
It does, for sure. Yeah. Like, if I can imagine, it's funny. I totally lost sight of this over time. But when I first started my company, Wild Remedies, it was really like, I wanted to create a large company that had a lot of resources so that I could create alternative schools for kids. Because I just thought, like, if we can have a generation that starts off by learning about meditation and intuition and advocate, like, all of this stuff, all of these lost arts and traditions and things, like, it would just make all the difference, I feel,
Yeah, of course it would, because it would change the root and foundation of society. Like if our kids are the future, which they are, then it would change everything. And I think that's why we treat them like they don't know, like they don't have their own intuition, right? Like we treat children like they're not wise, or they're not the wise beings that they really are. And I think we do it because we don't want things to change in some foundational level, or a lot of people don't. Like we want to keep giving them. Oh my God, sorry.
Okay, we can edit it out.
Come on. Okay, she's back inside.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I feel like, I wonder, I guess I should say, why we think like that our children they just don't understand. It's like they understand so much more than we give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. If we gave them, that's so beautiful that's what you wanted to do. Like, I feel like to your point, that's what was happening centuries ago, right? Like kids were learning those things. That was being passed down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope you do that. If
Well,
you create a school like that, I will send my child.
It's coming to me more lately, just because a lot of things are shifting in my life right now. And yeah, I'm starting to have like these little bits of inspiration, and just with everything that, the work that I've been doing in the past couple of years around connecting with nature. Like I just see a piece of that with children. Like I don't know or think I'll ever have kids, but I love kids, and I've always kind of seen myself working with them in some capacity. But what I would really love to facilitate is the connection with children and Mother Nature, right? Because that is one of the most key pieces in teaching intuition, right? And teaching that we are part of Earth. And this is why it's really important to advocate for the health of our environment and ways that we can do that. I mean, it all just starts with us. It doesn't have to be a huge, oh my God, we need to change like all of these things. It's just within ourselves. But, if every child, had this start in life where they had this reverence for the place that we call home, it would make a huge difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right. It would. I also think it's a great resource, like for your own. I know for me, and somatic therapy, they talk about this, like you have resources. It's basically like the things that help you co-regulate. And nature, I mean, people do that, right? Safe people. But nature is, I think, the biggest co-regulator ever. And I think it's just such an important resource. I know when I was a kid, that would be when things were, really bad. Like I would go outside because it would be safe. It's a safe place. Like it's unconditionally loving in the sense that like no one's, what you're like sitting by, even just trees, like there's no judgment. It's so neutral, which is another thing. I think that neutrality, I'm learning, like it's not glamorized because it's neutrality, but it's so healing to just being neutral. Like you're still feeling, but you're just not attached to anything in either direction. I think about it a lot for my son. Like I just see when we're outside that he's embodied, and that's a gift because he can always reach for that. Hopefully, if we make the changes we need to make, like he'll always have that, you know?
Well, and it's interesting because it makes sense, the neutrality that you speak of, because we are nature, right? Like our bodies are literally from the earth. We are nature. And so when we are communing with nature, we're in the forest, like there are literal frequencies that are being, you know, that are regulating our systems. And, you know, as a society, we suffer from something called nature deficit disorder, right? And that creates a lot of dysregulation in our bodies. And all you have to do is go fucking outside. Like just go outside.
Right? Like, I know when people say it, like my friend, like been going through something and I was talking to her about it and she was like, just go outside and co-regulate. And I was like, oh yeah.
I know.
Like it is really that simple.
Yep. Just go lay in the grass.
Right. And even if it's like, even if I'm not saying it'll like go outside and like you'll be healed forever and it'll, you know, like I'm not saying that, but I do genuinely experience when I go outside, there is at least a minor shift, if not a genuinely decent sized one. You know what I mean? Like it makes a difference.
Yeah, like it's very rare that you go out for a little stroll in the park or walk in the forest and you come back feeling worse. Like that's just not a thing. Like it will always make you feel better.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And I know there's like so much science on it. And like you said, like the frequencies, and I think I read somewhere a long time ago about like your cells begin to like match that of what you're like. It's amazing. Like we're so lucky to have it.
Well, we are, right? We've just created so much separation with the walls and all of the things.
That's so true.
You know, like in the future, what would be really cool is if our houses were made more of like, you know, people are making like those really cool cob houses and stuff now. Earth and all of that stuff. Like if our floors were actually grounded, if our walls were actually made from like, you know, really natural materials. Like I know the frames of our homes are wood and all of that stuff. And that's not even the greatest thing because, you know, we're destroying our forests for that. But I think there's ways that we can still create comfort, learn from, you know, what's not working and create something that is in much more harmony. Like, oh my God. Yeah. I need to live in one of those houses. I feel like it would be so amazing. It would be
really cool. It would be really cool too. Like I would love for someone, like if you lived in one of those houses, if you were to document how you felt every day, like I'd be so interested to know the effect it had on your mind and body.
Seriously. I mean, okay. Just even for example, it wasn't even like a cob house or anything, but I was down in Vancouver a month or so ago for a conference. And the Airbnb that I stayed in was backed right into like the rainforest.
Wow.
And so like, it's just a regular house, but still like it's completely surrounded by trees. Like you hear the creek in the background 24/7. And like, and it's a little bit darker too, because it is quite forested, but like, oh my God, my sleep was so good. You know, and I still live you know, I'm in an area of Canada that is like still very beautiful and whatever, but it is more in town. Right. Even though this was like in North Vancouver, like it's still technically city, but it was backed into, you know, for me, like those rainforests are just the most magical places on the planet. But like, though I could literally immediately get those healing frequencies and just be like, chill as fuck, rested up, like just felt so amazing. So it doesn't
like you're so full.
Well, it's just it comes in through the house, right? Like you get the terpenes from the trees and like, you know, it's just the smells and the sounds and all of those things. I mean, there's so much science around like the brain waves that are changed just from listening to bird song.
Oh yeah,
You
I
know?
believe it. Yeah.
Because that's natural,
Yeah.
like the natural state of like what like we are supposed to be, like literally barefoot running around in the bush. The further
Yeah.
that we get away from that, the sicker we get.
Yeah. So my friend she was doing microdosing for a while, and there was one morning she messaged me and was like, the cause of like all our suffering and illness and pain, like it's disconnect. It's disconnection. Like that is the root of pain.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, that's very simply accurately put. Like if I think back to times that I was in pain, it's disconnect with myself, with someone else, with the world around me. You're right. And I think exactly what you're saying. First and foremost, it's with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's complete disconnect with ourselves.
Yep.
And yeah, you just can't be that way when you're surrounded by nature. You can't.
Yep. Honestly, yeah. Once you start to commune with nature and create a relationship, I think that's really the most important part. It's not just
Yeah.
about like going out. I mean, in the beginning it can be, but really creating a relationship and like, you know, when I'm out in the forest, like I'm talking to all the plants, right? And I mean, this is just my energy. Like I'm just big fairy energy. It's my jam.
Well, when you were talking about the rainforest, I was like, there's fairies. Like
Yeah.
I'm just getting like fairy images in my mind.
Yeah. I
I
mean,
love
it
it.
is. It's so magical there. But like, you know, when you're really paying attention, like you notice the smells, right? When you open your eyes and like you pay attention to things, you go for walks and you see little flowers that you want to pay attention to and say hello to. And, you know, the mushroom that might pop up that you get curious about, and just really creating that childhood wonder.
Yeah.
There's a book that I'm reading right now. It's called Inner Wisdom. It's really amazing, by this woman named Carrie Hummingbird, and she's going to be coming on the podcast here soon.
Oh,
But
that's exciting.
she talks about in her book how what we're really trying to do is come back to how we were as children, where we just have like this sense of awe and wonderment
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
world around us, right? And I'm
Yeah.
always like that when I'm in nature. Like that is just my permanent state.
Yeah.
And I just want more of that in my life. But I want that for everyone, because there are so many people that are walking around that just never experience that. And I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be disconnected. I was there for almost 3 decades of my life, like very disconnected, or I would have little pockets of it, but I was
Yeah.
very disconnected. And that was when I was at my very, very sickest too.
Yep.
But the more, awe and wonder and magic that we can bring back into our lives, and all of that for me anyway, is found through nature. That's really where it all lies.
Yeah. It's funny. You're reminding me, I listened to this podcast, on Being, that podcast, really good. And I can't remember, I had to look up his name. But he was the, psychologist that helped with, the movie Inside Out. It's with I think it's Pixar, but it's like they take emotions and they personify. It's actually similar to my book, but they personify them into like, there's like joy and sadness and disgust and fear and anger, and they like follow this girl. And
Okay.
yeah, it's adorable and it's really like well done. But she on the podcast, she was interviewing the psychologist that worked with them to like make sure this was sound, like from every level. Oh, Dr. Keltner, that's his name. And he, Dr. Keltner, yeah. And he wrote a book on awe. And it's so interesting because he goes through like, he like did studies and interviewed people and everything for the book. And the number one thing that brought awe to people was actually other people, which I found so surprising. And nature was like up there, of course, right?
Yeah.
Because again, it's like kind of a given. But I found it so, and he did too. I mean, the conversation was around how that was not what they were expecting.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was about actually like people, like I've stopped to think about it now. And it's when you see somebody either like doing something out of the goodness of their heart, right? Right. You're just like, damn, that is so pure. And that's awe-inspiring, or wonderful. Right. Or there's the things of like, someone being resilient or like going after something that matters to them. But when you think about it, it is all connection. It's either like they're connecting with their community or another stranger. And it's like those, it reminded me of that account on Instagram. There's a bunch, but like Good News or whatever. And it's just, they're like replaying, right? Like the stories that make you want to cry because they're like strangers helping strangers, or these really incredible things happening because of some person. Yeah. So I've just been thinking about that more when you bring up like awe and wonder. I'm like, I feel it so much in nature. And I wonder if as I continue that practice and I regulate and I'm more connected with myself, will I be able to see some of this connection with people too? Like in those really small ways, even just someone like, holding the door or helping someone out, like ways that I wasn't ready to look for it yet because I was disconnected myself.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I'm very surprised as well that is, kind of the top thing, just because I feel like we don't see it as much, or maybe because we are so disconnected,
right?
And I'm outside all the time. So like, to me, that just seems like more of a thing, but yeah, I mean, when you do, hear of those heartfelt warming things or stuff that just seems very magical or awe-inspiring, and you see it through the lens of like another human being, there's a lot of medicine in that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. But yeah, definitely check that out. I'll send you.
I will. Yeah, that would be great.
It was such a good podcast. Yeah.
Well, geez, we've been talking for 45 minutes about everything but Moon Cycle Bakery, and I need to hear about Moon Cycle Bakery. So let's jump into that. I want to hear about the products first of all, and then we need to talk about the cookbook.
Yeah. Okay. So Moon Cycle Bakery kind of goes back to what we were talking about before when you were saying when you switched your diet, it wasn't so much that you weren't eating meat. It was like about that you were eating whole foods, right? And that is very similar to the Moon Cycle, the way it was built, in the sense that, well, it really started with this acknowledgement of the cycle, and something that's so often stigmatized, judged, not advocated for, certainly, and not even addressed in a lot of senses. And so that's really where it started. I was like, I want to create a company that, I don't know, sees women, humans, menstruators, like, I don't know why we just like deny this thing happens. This very miraculous thing happens. And why we have no education about it. So that's where it started. And then I wanted to, when it came to like the treats and everything, because I have been on this healing journey, I wanted it to be nourishing in as many ways as I could make it. So I started teaming up with nutritionists, and that's where the whole foods element came in. So we started looking at the menstrual cycle, the different phases, and the certain micronutrients that drop or shift basically when our hormones shift. And then we looked at foods that help to replenish some of those micronutrients. So it's things like you could think of in a way of magnesium, right? Like when you're nearing your period, a lot of times you crave chocolate. That's because chocolate's high in magnesium, and when our progesterone drops, we usually lose our magnesium along with it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, right. And it's kind of, again, that it's your body's so smart. It's a system. So like it's so intuitive with what you need. All the way through things like when our serotonin and dopamines, again, in the luteal phase, tend to drop. Complex carbs can help with that. So like try a sweet potato, or just it's how to bring yourself that comfort while listening to what your body needs and understanding to the best of your ability what's happening. So we started created treats, and we had like a delivery service, which we've now stopped in the last year and a half, but we created all these treats that we would deliver with this kind of process in mind. And then now we have the dry mixes. So you can still buy the dry mix and make these treats at home, which I actually kind of like better, because then you can make them yours even more, right? Like you can substitute whatever you want. or need to. I have so many customers who will like send me pictures of them doing it with their kids, which is super fun. Yeah, I like that it's a little bit more, you can practice it like in your own home a little bit more.
Totally.
So that's a product. And then Moon Cycle Cookbook came from that. And that is just a cookbook of basically everything I've laid out. So it is organized by the phases of the menstrual cycle. It goes into, again, a bit of the education of what's happening in your body, the certain micronutrients you might want to help to replenish, the symptoms you can have and why that might be happening. It goes into the emotional aspect of things, or some of the more spiritual. So there's rituals in there to help you ground down, to come back to yourself. And then there's the many wonderful recipes to supplement.
I love that. And so the products, like, so when we're talking treats, we've got like cookies and muffins and all of those things.
Yeah. So we had like, cookies, brownies. So now we have cookies, brownies, and truffles, chocolate truffles.
Ooh.
And they're probably our best selling and so delicious. And a kitchery mix, which I really like. It's really great.
That you do kitchery.
I love kitchery. It really, really is. And it's like, it's nourishing on every level, I find. And we made it, I worked with a nutritionist, and we made it with lentils. We made it a little, we shifted from like the, cultural version of it a little bit. But it's so good. And we made it with, at that point with like postpartum people in mind. And, but again, it's like anything we even had like an oatmeal cookie, the same thing, to help with anecdotally, like people find that eating oats helps with creating breast milk. But it's also delicious. Like, it's funny because when we were at events, I used to have men come up and be like, well, can I eat these? And I'm like, yeah, it's food.
Yeah.
Like, it's great for anyone and in any place at any time. It's just like nourishing food that's going to make and it's delicious. So hopefully it will make you happy and, support your body.
Are there herbs and adaptogens and things like that in them as well? Or?
Yeah, I don't do them in the dry mixes, but I do, they're on the back, you can see, of the package. It's optional and it's recommended. So we work with, in our treats, we used to have them. We worked with Root and Bones, Alyssa Melody. She is an incredible person, let alone like powerhouse. She is so wise in all things Chinese medicine and creates these incredible adaptogens. As she really respects like the culture and the wisdom of it, which I really appreciate, and how she, like, where she gets them from and everything. So we used her adaptogens. So we used to have like cordyceps, reishi. What else did we have? There was one more that we had. I can't think of it right now. Maybe maca at one point. But yeah, there's like, we had certain adaptogens along the way. Yeah.
I love that. Cool. And then, so people want to try the product. Like, do you predominantly just sell online now?
Yeah. So you can go to, we're in a store in Canada. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember. This was a while ago. But I had a friend send me a picture maybe like a few months ago that she like found them in there. And I was like, oh, that's so exciting.
Cool.
But yeah, you can always get them online at mooncyclebakery.com.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. And so the cookbook, just a few quick questions.
Yes, please.
Tell me about the process. Because I was sharing before we got on here that like a book of some sort has been kind of percolating in my mind, but it seems daunting. Like it's a big project. How was the process for you, and like what was your experience through birthing that?
Yeah, I think I've gotten really lucky with my books because so the cookbook in particular, I had Jenna, who's the nutritionist that came up with the recipes, helped with the education. She's incredible. And so we were a team, which was, it's always helpful when, you know, collaborating is my preferred method, honestly. So it actually didn't feel daunting. And it was one of those things where, like, you know, you talk about, you see it, you feel it. I very much find that to be the case in my experience. I actually had a meditation, and I was holding a cookbook, and I was like, interesting. And then I didn't do anything. I just, you know, went about life. And then I was with my husband, we were traveling, and I had this really big download of, I need to write a book. And it actually wasn't the cookbook. It's the second book I just published. And I was like, I'm going to find a literary agent when we get back, and I'm going to do this. And I found a literary agent, and she liked the second book, but was like, you have a really big platform for this cookbook. Why don't we start, or for a cookbook? What would you ever be interested in that? And I was like, yeah, I just had a meditation. I would write one. So sure.
Cool.
So it wasn't really like, you know, it was one of those things where I was like, that'd be awesome. But it just worked out when the timing was ready. And then from there, the process was pretty easy. I mean, like I was lucky to have the literary agent I have and to pitch the book to publishers. Once we teamed up with a publisher, Jenna got going on the recipes, which I would say is probably the most like labor inducive, right? There was one weekend where me, Jenna, and Christina, who did the photos for the cookbook, got together for a full week, just hung out in this really amazing cabin in middle of nowhere, upstate New York, and just cooked all the food and took all the photos. And yeah, so, I was like, my body has not been this happy.
I bet.
So I'm like, yeah, because you're eating this food, you're cooking, and you're creating with like these other women. I mean, it was just really magical. And then we brought it all together. So yeah, I think it's one of those things when you know that it's meant to be, it really does it's work, but you know what I mean? I know you do. Like, it's still seamless in a respect.
Yeah. 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 I think for myself, I make it feel more done because my background, I'm a designer as well. Right. And so like I started my career in print. So in my mind, I'm just like, well, if I create something, I have to do the entire thing. Right. And, I mean, I probably would want to, right. I would want to design the cover, and just because that's how I am.
Yeah.
Right? So I would probably design the entire thing, which is a lot. So it would probably take me forever.
Yeah. And I think that's why it was funny because the book went to auction, which means like we had 3 publishers who were bidding on it basically. And 2 of them didn't want to do pictures at all. They wanted to do, they wanted to
have pictures for a cookbook. You have to.
That was exactly how we felt. And I'm right there with you. I have a background in design. And so I was like, exactly like you're saying, like, you're like, I know what this needs to look like, and I have to stay true to it. And so we went with the publisher that was like, no, we're good with pictures. And it was the smallest of the advances, but I was like, I don't care. I care about this book. Right. And so, yeah, I think what I liked was then in that respect, I had a publisher who trusted me, and I was so lucky for this because it's not always the case, but the publisher trusted me because I created this brand. So they knew that I knew this brand. I knew what typography, I knew the colors, I knew the mood, I knew what photographer to hire, and they let me do that. But then they took it all and put it into the book. And that was like we got to choose kind of where some of the photos went or which photos were chosen. But I didn't have to your point, like put it all together. And that was such a saving grace.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it was great. It was like that collaborative again, where I'm like, I can't, because you're right. If I had to do that, I don't think this would exist.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, because that definitely kind of makes it feel a little bit more possible for me. Because the type of book that I would want to do would include foraging and medicinal information, and that's already quite a lot, right? So like to also style and photograph, like all of that stuff, and I have experience in a lot of those things, but I don't think I would want to do all of it because I would go crazy. It would be too much.
Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're wise. You know your capacity. I think it's the best thing.
Yeah.
I think that's like wonderful because then, you know exactly where you need to fill in or who to work with.
Mm-hmm.
I am always down to like, it is so possible, right? Like, I feel like I'm proof that it's possible. Like, I'm no different than you. And it happened. So like you 100% can and will make this cookbook. It's really just a matter of time and how it comes together.
Totally.
Which is super exciting.
Yay. Thank you for that. Well, oh my gosh, we're at the end of our time already. I feel like I could just talk to you forever. And we didn't get to the topic that like I still really wanted to get to, which is you being an end of life doula now.
Oh yeah.
I think we should have you back on to have a conversation.
I would love that.
Because that's like a topic that I love.
Yeah, and I'm going to be, I'm just starting to volunteer at hospice. So I'll have lots more to talk to you about. Yeah, when
That's it. Are you familiar with Stephen Jenkinson?
No.
Oh, girl. Okay.
Yeah.
He's been on the podcast. I'll send you the episode, but look into his work, in particular, a book that he wrote called Die Wise. 10 out of 10 recommend the audio version of it. He's a poet and a singer. And so the whole thing, like, it's literally poetry. I always talk about how embarrassed I am on the podcast when he came on. Cause like, he's an elder and he's so wise and he's so deep. And like, you ask him a question and then he just weaves this like intricate thing and then ends up answering the question. Like, but by the time he's done talking, after you've asked him a question, you're just like in a completely different space. And like, all you can really do is be like, whoa. And I don't think it was because I've heard him on like other podcasts too, where he just makes like the host just kind of sound dumb because like he's just so wise.
He's so wise. Yeah.
Like it's just daunting talking to him for sure. But like his work is amazing. He was a palliative care educator and a death doula for many, many years here in Canada, and educated a lot on that. But definitely recommend his work. But I'd be so excited to hear your experience.
Yeah, I'm going to get this audiobook. Thank you for that. And thank you for pushing the audiobook because audiobooks are great. And some of them, to your point, are like just such an experience. So I love when people are like, it's great, and do the audiobook.
Yes. Yeah. Not a lot of them are awesome like that, but there's a few that I always recommend because they're really entertaining or they're just very well done. And that's definitely one of them for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, okay. So for people that want to check you out, want to check out the products, want to check out the cookbook. Oh, and you have another one coming out soon, don't you?
It just came out in April 18th. So it's a newborn. Yes, if you want to check any and all of this out. So the Moon Cycle Bakery cookbook you can buy that off the website at mooncyclebakery.com. And our products as well, or you can get it, in any bookstore, Amazon, whatever floats your boat, basically. My second book is on my website as well, which is devonloftuswrites.com. But that's another one where you can get it, Barnes & Noble, Indigo, actually, because I know that's in Canada, right?
Oh, amazing.
And, that's where I went with my son. Actually, we have an Indigo right here by where we live to see the book. And bookshop, the places that you like to shop for books. So those two places.
Awesome. All right.
Well, thank you so much, Krysta. This was such a fun conversation.
It was. Yeah. I'm so glad we got to connect and have this chat today. It was really lovely. And definitely, please, we will have you back on to talk about all the death doula stuff because I think it's so fascinating.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Awesome. So for anybody listening, make sure you share this episode with somebody that you feel would get some value out of it. And we'll catch y'all on the next one. Thanks, guys. Thanks so much for sharing your time and energy with us today. We'd love to hear your feedback on how our podcast has impacted your life and are also open to suggestions for new and interesting topics. Please leave your comments with a quick review to help us grow this magical community of wellness warriors and light workers. Every month, we select one lucky reviewer to win our big Magick box, containing all 3 of our beautiful Magick lattes. To connect with us further, check us out on Instagram at wild_remedies. Thank you again, and see you at the next episode.